government. Let's bring in Paul Fletcher. Thanks very much for your company.
Good afternoon, Peter. Good afternoon, Christina.
Nice endorsement for the government's policy agenda around small business and the support, the entrepreneurial support given to businesses like the one Mr Shorten's visiting there that's grown from single-digit employees
of course we want to encourage
64.
businesses to grow, and we want to create a favourable policy environment for jobs and growth. That's why we've got a policy to reduce the company tax rate and to extend the number of companies that can get access to that reduced company tax rate. I don't know whether they had time to have a discussion about company tax rate.
I don't think they got into that.
Probably not.
I don't think they got into that. But let me ask you though, what has the government been doing over the last 12 months to support small businesses like the one that Mr Shorten was visiting to see such massive growth in the number of employees? Obviously, there were measures in the last two budgets.
These are tough questions, Peter. Tough questions.
Well, raised by Mr Shorten. I'm simply following his lead.
You're just putting him under the screws here.
Can I make the point? We have had the instant asset write-off that was championed by the former Small Business Minister, Bruce Bilson. That was a centrepiece of, or a key feature of the budget last year. Of course, this year we've got a further reduction in the company tax rate for small business. And we're also extending up to $10 million the turnover of businesses that are eligible for that reduced company tax rate, because if we reduce the tax rate on companies, that assists them to grow and to generate jobs and opportunities.
Well, Mr Fletcher, can I make one more point?
Well,
just before you do, I mean, that business, I'm assuming, correct me if I'm wrong, with that massive explosion in the number of employees that Mr Shorten was so proud of, that business would presumably jump past his categorisation of what constitutes a small business for company tax purposes, I'm guessing.
I would suspect, not knowing the precise details of that business, but I suspect their tax outlook under Labor is a lot less attractive than should a Turnbull government be returned. But can I make this other point? The Coalition does not believe that government does everything. What we aim to do is create an environment within which people like the owners of that business, and I don't know much about them, but they appear to be having success, people can take a risk and can capture the returns if they do that. And that's why, for example, we had an innovation statement in December last year, which contained strong tax incentives for additional investment in start-up businesses, because we want to encourage Australian businesses to innovate and to be part of the transformation of our economy. Indeed, a key theme of this election campaign is a transition to a strong new economy. We want to encourage exporters taking advantage of the free trade agreements with China, Korea, Japan. So we've got a suite of policies designed to support and encourage business.
Okay, so when are small, medium or large businesses going to have the benefit of an NBN? Because I seem to recall Malcolm Turnbull said it would be this year we'd all be enjoying right across Australia the NBN speeds on our internet. When's that coming in your innovation statement, you know, innovative, agile, flexible economy?
Let's talk about the NBN.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Under the Coalition, when are we going to get to what Malcolm Turnbull promised?
The number of premises that get fibre to the premises, and not one extra dollar of public money will be required. It's a miracle. Hallelujah. The reality is all Labor has done has reinforced the people's memories of their chaotic mismanagement of the NBN when they were in government. Remember, they spent $6 billion. They delivered
can we go
very
to
little.
Malcolm Turnbull? Malcolm Turnbull, was he wrong or was he not being truthful? Was Malcolm Turnbull wrong or was he not being truthful when he said the NBN would be rolled out in full across Australia this year?
What Malcolm Turnbull did was laid out a consistent and credible plan to roll out the NBN. And I remind you, when we came to government, there was not one person on that board with telecommunications experience. We fixed that. We put in capable board, capable management. Shortly, 25% of premises will be able to connect by 2018, late 2018. 75% of premises will be able to connect. By 2020, it will be done. So the NBN is rolling out. We're now connecting more in a month than Labor managed to connect to the NBN in their entire time in government.
Isn't that the nature of infrastructure?
But let me ask this. I mean, in fairness, Christina Keneally's point is right, isn't it? You did promise that all homes would have the NBN by 2016. Now, for whatever reason, that won't happen.
Well, what we found when we came to government was that things were worse than we had expected. We did a very thorough, comprehensive strategic review. The company, its senior management team, aided by external consultants, and we announced our plans for the multi-technology mix. That's a combination of fibre to the premises, fibre to the node and hybrid fibre coax or cable. Now that rollout is proceeding, building momentum. And can I make this point?
Yes.
Can I make this point that The company is very open with its performance. Every week, the rollout numbers are reported on the website, and that's showing a consistent and steady increase in the rollout. Look, it's very important with the NBN that we get it rolled out as quickly as possible and that as many people as possible have access to those high speeds. It is important to have that uniformity of access. And that's the conclusion of the cost-benefit analysis that we conducted after coming into government, but it's also the conclusion of broadband experts around the world. That's why we are very focused on getting this rolled out as quickly as possible. And one of the key reasons why we've chosen a mix that has a lot of fibre to the node is because you can roll out fibre to the node more quickly, considerably more quickly than fibre to the premises. Of course, it also costs about half as much per premises. And when you're talking about 10 million plus premises around the country that you have to connect to this network, that have to be able to access the network, those differences are very important. So that's why we've chosen the multi-technology mix after careful review, and the key point is it is being implemented thoroughly and in a consistent fashion. The company has met its targets 8 quarters in a row. Under Labor, NBN was a byword for consistently failing to deliver on its stated plans.
So I was talking to a Labor MP who represents an area that has, this multi-technology access, or what some people might just call copper to the home, and telling me that when it rains, water gets into the pits, and they actually have to send workers in to get the water out of the pits because it messes up the copper technology, and people in their homes experience slower internet speeds. Is that
Christina,
the case, first of all? And secondly, shouldn't we be building technology that can, I don't know, withstand rain?
NBN, as a company, carefully monitors customer satisfaction, and the customer satisfaction levels for people who are on fibre to the premises and fibre to the node shows no discernible difference. It's also the case that the majority of people are not choosing to purchase the highest tiers. They're choosing to purchase somewhat lower tiers in terms of the speed limits that they're purchasing.
So there's no problem water getting into the pits and messing up the copper technology?
Look, on a network that serves millions of people around Australia, whatever the technology, there will always be instances where there's a problem that needs to be rectified. And of course you get on and rectify that.
Yeah, but rain is kind of sure.
That is in the nature of any network that serves millions of people. But the question for Australians who care about the question for Australians who care about the NBN is, when is it going to get rolled out? When am I going to have it? How are we going to get the numbers up? And the coalition has a reliable and dependable plan to get the NBN out much more quickly than Labor. I mean, Labor themselves have said 2022. We're saying it'll get done by 2020. And of course, the speeds that can be delivered, 100 megabits per second on fibre, 50 megabits per second on fibre to the node, and in many cases more than that. And on HFC, indeed, there's readily an upgrade path to 100 megabits per second. I remind you, HFC, that the previous Labor government was going to spend tens of hundreds of millions of dollars to have Telstra and Optus just take that perfectly good network out of service. We've turned around that particular piece of economic lunacy along with several other pieces of economic lunacy that form part of Labor's NBN plan. We're getting it delivered.
Well, Paul Fletcher, we are out of time. I'm sure you can catch this on an internet download somewhere in Australia if you want to later on. Thanks for joining us on To The Point.
Thanks, Christina. Thanks, Peter.